What you waiting for? Pen Pop, the flavor moves ya.
Star Times, unique bouquet on showing. 52 channels, including 5 premier channels. Fox Entertainment, True Movies 1, Explore Plus. For Active Classic Bouquet subscribers till 31st of March. Subscribe more month, get more days free. For more info, please call our hotline or Digital Life.
Song of the Week is brought to you by Sprite.
You got me so
Yeah. Young Cass. There go. Yes, my pretty lady. Yeah, you drive me crazy. Like I'm blindfolded, high rolling in a Mercedes. In one word, baby girl, you're amazing. Yeah, you got me sprung, baby. Can I have you daily? Want you by my side, baby, if I had a wish. Always need you there to give me a little kiss. From day one, I knew it would be like this. I'm loving your swagger, baby, you so glamorous. Yes, my pretty mommy, or should I call you darling? Be my princess and I can be your prince charming. We can hold hands in the sands in Malawi. Then we set sails on our way to Diani.
Is what I use for my hair retouch, and it works so well. It gives a beauty look, and my hair shines. Thereafter, knowing this, we all choose to use Movit No Best Relaxer. Rich with ingredients to protect your skin from irritation. After hair wash, apply Movit Lady. It conditions your hair. Silk and strong, crown it on. Apply Movit hair food, rich with avocado oil and shine. We all choose to use Movit No Best Relaxer. Movit, all the confidence.
Excuse me. Younger.
Where are you going?
I'm taking my family to America to watch Schwarzenegger.
All the 16 of you?
Yes, we're going to Disney to watch these cartoony toonies. After we go to Nigeria to watch Ikechuku. Then after we go to Thailand for the animals.
Hey, wait, where?
Thailand.
Oh, Thailand.
Then we go to London to watch Sierra Score.
That man left.
But that is not a problem. We shall watch his statue.
That you carry me alone.
Of course. Now what you do is you remove 23,500 for the first leg of the trip. Then we go to the nearest DSTV agent. Now.
For as little as 23,500 shillings per month, DSTV is the pocket-friendly way to world-class family entertainment. Choose between affordable bouquets tailored to suit your pocket. So get to any multi-choice agent today and subscribe. DSTV, so much more pocket-friendly.
NTV, turning on your world.
Violation of human rights, you know.
Fake money printing ring busted.
Police arrest 2 Nigerians with fake currencies worth over $100 million.
tonight, apart from the fake money printing syndicate that was busted by the police, we focus the spotlight in Parliament, where questions were raised about how a minister's daughter got a high-profile job with an oil exploration company.
Plus, she was once regarded as the opposition Iron Lady of Uganda. But is she anymore? We have the very latest on the political wars facing Kidgum Woman Member of Parliament, Beatrice Yoweri.
Good evening, it's the 10th day of May 2012 and a warm welcome to this Thursday edition of NTV Tonight. Let's now have a look at the rest of the headlines.
I was employed by the head of his Dominion Petroleum Limited.
Blowing off the lead, minister's daughter Elizabeth Kutesa on the spot over how she became a director of an oil prospecting company.
Some of our colleagues come in the parliament, just show their faces and they disappear.
You are compromised. Leader of opposition accuses Beatrice Yoweri of holding secret meetings with President Museveni.
And in Eco Talk, why some parts of eastern Uganda are becoming prone to landslides. We're glad you could join us on NTV Tonight. I am Rachel Arinitwe.
And I am Gabriel Penu. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, in a major crime bust tonight, police in Lubowa have arrested 2 suspected Nigerian men and recovered counterfeit money estimated at a whopping $100 million.
In an operation that began early today, police also impounded safes, gold nuggets and powder, among other things.
According to Kampala Metropolitan Police spokesperson Ibn Senkumbi, the prime suspect, identified as Chinedu Harenston, has been on the run after police got information that he was linked to a host of other robberies in Kampala.
Sidir Biarhanga has that headline story tonight.
This house, under 24-hour surveillance, is home to this man identified as Chinedu Harenston in Lubowa, a suspected Nigerian national, arrested together with a colleague identified as Okata Chinedu Davidson during a police operation that began at around 5 a.m.
We said to be the director of Dr. Motors Uganda Limited.
During the operation that lasted for about 12 hours, police first recovered some money stashed in the house and swords.
We need to question him of how he came into their possession.
Later, unsuspecting Okata Chinedu Davidson arrived to pick a Harrier car parked in Harriston's compound, claiming it was his and he wanted to drive it away.
Violation of human rights.
But a police search in the car led to a hefty discovery. It is suspected that the two have been printing different currency notes, which include US dollars, the Kenyan and Ugandan shillings, as well as the South Sudan pound, among others. Police also recovered 4 boxes of fake gold nuggets and powder plus 5 tins of chemicals used to spray on the grains in order to look like gold. According to police, the suspects say that it is very hard for any gold testing machine to detect that this is not pure gold. With the kind of posh house that the suspects own, one would imagine why they found it safer to keep the money in the manhole. This is where the police found a box of dollars plus 2 original safes, and it is suspected that these safes were got from forex bureaus and banks. Also, 6 made safes were recovered from the men that police suspect are behind several robberies around Kampala. It is believed that the main victims of this scam are people engaged in exchange of large volumes of foreign currencies. For now, the police continue with their investigations in order to zero on other suspects believed to be on the run. Sudil Biarhanga, NTV.
Next tonight, lawmakers probing the oil sector have today grilled the daughter of Foreign Affairs Minister Sam Kutesa on how she got a job in an oil exploration company. Committee members chaired by Bungoho County MP Mike Werihe say they had been tipped by a whistleblower that Elizabeth Kutesa was recruited into the oil company through underhand methods. Kutesa, who is the regional commercial manager for Dominion Petroleum Limited, an exploration oil company, said she just received a call from London asking her whether she was interested in the job and later went to the United Kingdom for an interview, after which she was granted the job.
The MPs on the Oil Probe Committee today heard that the daughter of Foreign Affairs Minister Sam Kutesa was recruited into Dominion Petroleum Limited in what they termed as underhand methods. They claim the information came from a whistleblower. Elizabeth Kutesa told lawmakers that she got a telephone call from London inviting her to take up the job.
Do you have any staff with the names of Elizabeth Kutesa?
Elizabeth was employed by our head office in London to take on a regional role.
Did she apply?
Yes, I did an interview.
Through an advert?
I was approached, I was headhunted from the London office.
You were approached or you responded to an advert?
I responded to a call that I was told that, are you interested in working in the region?
A call by whom?
From the HR. I was told that I'm being headhunted. Do I want to appear for an interview? To which I responded that I am available for an interview.
The laws of Uganda do not stop any son or daughter of a minister to have a job in a reputable company. But MPs on the committee are raising eyebrows. Why Kutesa's daughter? The Oil Probe Committee was set up by Parliament following allegations that Foreign Affairs Minister Sam Kutesa was among the cabinet ministers who could have received bribes from oil companies to operate in Uganda. Elizabeth Kutesa's name also featured in Motocare, the company which procured Chogam vehicles in 2007. The MPs were also informed by the general manager of Dominion Petroleum Limited, Anthony Kinags, that he has been in Uganda since 1986 and yet the company began its operation in 2007. The lawmakers want Dominion Petroleum to pay capital gains tax to the government of Uganda since it was acquired by another company, Fair Energy Limited.
To accompany those transactions, there should have been capital gain tax.
It has not affected the shareholding locally. We've supplied all the documentation to the ministry, and I believe they have written to the authorities here to assess if capital gains or any other tax is applicable.
Dominion Petroleum Limited is a British oil exploration company. In Uganda, the company began its operation in 2007 in the exploration area of Ngaji at Queen Elizabeth National Park and along shores of Lake Edward. And since 2007, they have only drilled one oil well, but without any success as yet. The company claims to have so far spent $25 million in Uganda. They are claiming for recoverable cost amounting $23 million. Jingo Francis, NTV, Parliament.
The Kitgum woman member of Parliament, Beatrice Anywar, has been accused of being compromised by the state after accepting government-sponsored abroad trips and having secret night meetings with President Yoweri Museveni without notifying the opposition authorities in Parliament. Now, the leader of opposition in Parliament, Nandala Mafabi, told NTV in an exclusive interview that Anywar, who reported back to Parliament after recovering from the accident, has been inactive in Parliament, committee, shadow cabinet and caucus meeting, the reason she was asked to explain. Agnes Nandutu has that story.
He believes he will not perform and come and arm twist the office of the leader of opposition. He can arm twist Nandala out, but not the office.
Kitgum MP Beatrice Anywar yesterday announced that she was stepping aside to allow for investigations after receiving a letter from the leader of opposition asking her to explain the funder of her overseas travels and secret meetings with President Yoweri Museveni. Though Anywar stepped aside, Mafabi still insists that her action is a clear sign that he is guilty of what has been happening between her and President Yoweri Museveni.
Of course, if your trip is sponsored by a minister, you are compromised. And like for Honorable Anywar, we had reports that she is so close to the president. It's not wrong to be close to the president. All of us were not enemies of the president. But when meeting the president, it must be in a structured way. In a structured way. But not you to go there alone at night. It doesn't carry sense. So you can see the president was posing, but now in opposition, I have some I'm working with.
He says Anywa was first questioned by the shadow cabinet and the caucus to explain the source of her travels and her absence on duty, but he failed to do so, the reason she received a written letter.
The shadow cabinet cannot work if a shadow minister cannot be able to understand his sector or be able to have a capacity to do what he's supposed to do. Then the principle of checking government will stop.
Mafabi says it was not Anywa alone, but many opposition MPs have been questioned about their inactivity and have received letters to explain.
So in most cases we have discovered our colleagues are never in committees. Our colleagues go out of the country without telling us. Even it's permission, because that's the authority, we should give the authority.
He says an opposition MP has the liberty to travel abroad, provided an official notification is made to the opposition chief whip and the leader of opposition. Agnes Nandutu, NTV Parliament.
Now that story leads us to our NTV poll tonight, in which we are asking, was Kitgum woman MP Beatrice Anywa right to hold private meetings with President Yoweri Museveni without the knowledge of the leader of opposition? That question again, was Kitgum woman MP Beatrice Anywa right to hold private meetings with President Yoweri Museveni without the knowledge of the leader of opposition?
Now to have your say, text to 8778 your yes or no answer or contribution together with your name and where you are contributing from, and we shall be reading some of them during tonight's newscast, as well as bring you the final poll result for tonight's question. Moving on, teachers under the umbrella organization Uganda National Teachers Union have vowed to mobilize citizens into action in regard to the poor state of public education and the government's failure to review their salaries. So far, they say the struggle has been their own, and yet it is for the good of all. Their resolution comes as schools are set to reopen for second term next week. The teachers hope to bring to attention once again their salary increment ahead of government discussions leading up to the 2012-2013 financial year budget process. Josephine Karunji with that story.
Government has systematically ignored and deliberately excluded us.
In the recent past, members of Parliament on the Social Services Committee have insisted that government fulfilled its promise to give teachers a 30% salary increment in the next financial year. Now is the time, according to the teachers, to see if the 9th Parliament really does have their interests at heart.
If they choose to do nothing today, it will go down in history that during their term of office, education in this country actually perished.
The teachers do not understand how they can be expected to agree to a 15% increment in a 30% inflation economy. Their struggle automatically reflects on the education students will receive, and so the Association Secretary General says now is the time for everyone to come on board.
We are going to mobilize all the citizens who are the major stakeholders in education for action. We are telling the parents to stop pretending that their children whom they send to schools are learning amidst this crisis.
Birungi says while some might look at private schools as an option for the failing public schools, majority of Ugandans cannot afford those schools, and they shouldn't have to.
Education is a public good and a right that must be provided by the state, not as a choice. And so we cannot afford to see it becoming a commodity, like a meat, which can only be purchased by those who can afford.
With no defined call to action as yet, the teachers can only promise that they will not resort to violence.
With every seemingly ignored plea, the teachers' spirits seem dampened with the thought that public education is no longer a priority for Uganda's government. Perhaps the extent of their call to action will be felt when the budget for the next financial year is read. Josephine Karunji, NTV. We're now going to take a short break. There's still so much more ahead on NTV tonight, including...
We tell you why the East African Court of Justice has halted East African Legislative Assembly elections.
And KCCA evicts hundreds of vendors from the old and new taxi parks.
You have every reason to stay with us. NTV Tonight continues shortly after this break.
Register your MTN SIM card today. Your MTN number is your identity. Don't lose it. Registration is free.
MTN. Everywhere you go. Uganda Bulletin is the leading manufacturer of steel-based roof sheet products in East Africa, providing quality and affordable roofing solutions for the nation. Uganda Bulletin, superior quality since 1964.
Turn your meals into tasty, delightful dishes. You never want to miss a meal because Paramount's well-assorted cheese adds natural goodness to your food. Paramount cheese, quality is in the milk.
Welcome back. We start with a reminder of our NTV poll question for tonight and some of your responses. We asked you, we asked Kit Gumuman MP Beatrice Anywa has a right to hold private meetings with President Yoweri Museveni without the knowledge of the leader of opposition. I repeat that once more. Was Kit Gumuman MP Beatrice Anywa right to hold private meetings with President Yoweri Museveni without the knowledge of the leader of the opposition?
I would love to hear from you, so text your yes or no comment to 8778 followed by your name and where you are texting from. Let's now take a look at some of your comments so far. We have Sebi in Kampala saying yes, she is a Ugandan bound by the head of state and the laws of Uganda.
Well, Angelina Muga Awiti, you say, I don't think it's a big deal. They are just in two different parties and are not enemies. Besides, they are both Ugandan leaders. It's a sign of maturity on both sides.
All right, and do stay tuned. We shall be bringing you some more of your comments and tonight's final poll result at the tail end of the newscast.
Exactly. For now, though, the poll result, the tentative poll result stands at 49% of our respondents saying yes, while 51% of you say no.
All right, next tonight, the East African Court of Justice in Arusha has today slammed an injunction on the East African Legislative Assembly elections and Uganda joining the assembly until the rules of procedure are amended in conformity with Article 50 of the EAC Treaty.
According to the procedure, all parties must have equal representation to EALA, which wasn't the case.
The ruling NRM party had always taken the biggest representation.
With 9 positions at the assembly, it is said that 6 political parties in the country can all be represented in it.
The East African Court of Justice has now ruled that first of all the rules of procedure for elections of EALA members in Uganda are null and void, and has accordingly slammed an order against the Parliament of the Republic of Uganda, the Attorney General, and the East African Community and the East African Legislative Assembly that no elections should be conducted, no names should be announced as elected, and accordingly the Secretary General of the East African Community and EALA should not accept any names based on elections until Parliament makes rules of procedure conforming to Article 50 of the treaty, which among others provide for political parties represented in the House to be represented at EALA.
And this is what I warned them when we are debating the rules, that any rule that locks out some political parties which are represented in Parliament, when there are enough seats, when it is possible, will be against Article 50 of the treaty. So, but however, the court also ruled that the mandate to amend the rules is not with the court, it is with Parliament. So we need to come back and amend our rules in conformity with Article 50.
Now let's take a look at more stories that are making the news tonight.
As by law established, so help me God.
Chief Justice Benjamin Odoki has described as baseless a complaint raised against judicial officers and staff in the Court of Appeal by former Rubaga North Member of Parliament, Singh Katongole Marwa. This is in response to Singh's complaint to the office of the Chief Justice over the way his case was handled by the Court of Appeal. Katongole accused the judiciary spokesperson, Elias Chisauzi, of having bias against him at the expense of his opponent, Moses Kasibante. In a later address to Katongole and his lawyers today morning, Justice Odoki described the accusations as unfortunate and aimed at bringing the court system under ridicule. Odoki has also blocked Katongole's intention to appeal in the Supreme Court, saying that this is contrary to the recently approved Parliamentary Elections Act, which indicated that all election petitions are to be handled by the Court of Appeal.
And it was all gloom for traders in the old and new taxi parks in the early hours of this morning as Kampala Capital City Authority moved to evict them. KCCA law enforcement officials brought down the traders' kiosks, stalls and shelters in what the authority says is a move to restore trade order and clear the way for the long-awaited renovation of the two parks. The operation, which began at about 5 a.m. in the morning, was largely peaceful and business in the taxi park continued as usual amidst heavy police deployment.
Meanwhile, officials at Mulago Hospital say the 6 victims that were injured in last evening's mortal accident involving the Vice President's convoy are recovering and responding well. 3 of these are said to have been transferred to a private wing for closer observation, while the others are undergoing review, operated upon and discharged respectively.
Our consultants have assured us that the injuries sustained are manageable and they're going to manage them properly as expected.
Finally, 2 days after NTV broke the story of a 22-year-old HIV-positive mother of 1 working as a taxi conductor to earn a living, help has come her way. Judith Amanya is now 1 million shillings richer than she was yesterday, courtesy of local philanthropist Frank Gashumba, who says he was moved to come to her aid because of her indiscrimination towards work. Gashumba also promised to pay her school fees when and if she resumes school in order to meet her dream of becoming a teacher. Amanya, who dropped out in Senior 4, is a taxi tout on Luzira and Boyogerere routes.
Go back to school.
Now, landslides used to be foreign and unheard of in places like Uganda, but over the years a few have happened in the eastern part of the country, especially around Mount Elgon. Now, new cracks are said to be developing in the parts of the district that stretch up to neighboring Kenya, putting residents and communities at risk. NTV's Craig Kadoda assesses the new cracks that have since developed in the districts of Manafo and Kwen in this week's Eco Talk.
These hills from a distance appear to be small and neatly organized gardens for rural communities. But when you pay close attention, they are homesteads of people who have called this their home for generations and continue to live here. This is Weswa sub-county in Manafo district.
Okay.
A walk down the hills leads us through this environment that is steep, and you have to walk at the edge of the hill, which has to be done carefully. After trekking for about 30 minutes, we got to this steep point of the hill. This is the new crack that has developed on this hill that had its last landslide 14 years ago. The scars are still visible. But how did this crack develop?
But they started in a sub-county called Mokoto and Popoto through Bumbo into Kenya. That was in 2010. But last year in November, there was the development of this crack in Weswa sub-county. And this is an area that has had several landslides.
The crack, which is a huge threat in the area, developed at the extreme top of the hill and has since moved slightly as the rains have intensified due to the ever-changing seasons that are extreme and have affected the soils on the hill.
The upper part of the district is made up of steep slopes and loose volcanic soils. And due to population pressure, all the soil has been opened up, all the land has been opened up, and the terrain and the soil type has made the land to be very vulnerable to cracks and landslides.
Families here live on hills and own the land through the customary system. They are, however, not willing to leave despite the warnings from the authorities about the cracks.
people are still here because they have no way to move to another place. This is their origin since they were born up to now.
Being the main source of income by communities in this area, farming and cultivating on the slopes of these hills is also making the soils weaker. This bean plantation is one of the many gardens that are located on the steep slopes of these hills here in Manafwa. Now this stands next to a new crack that was discovered sometime in November that could be triggered off any minute if this activity continues and the rains intensify.
But now, because vegetation which is supposed to tie or to retain the soil is all removed, so consequently just the water runs with the soil all over and eventually gets into our rivers.
Across in the neighboring district of Kwen, the cracks there too have showed up. Whenever it rains, the water from the forested area has a heavy runoff on the land that is now used as cow and crop farmland because of its believed fertility and ability to produce high yields.
Consequently, now there is land fragmentation in place, and with poor farming methods, poor cropping methods, eventually this has led to a lot of soil erosion, landslides, floods, and the problem here now is reflected on the lower plains.
For now, the authorities are trying to sensitize the communities to move to lower areas that are safer and are not likely to develop cracks. It is only a matter of time before the cracks give way, leading to another tragedy that could probably lead to loss of lives. Krikadoda, NTV, EcoTalk.
Now we're going to take a very short break, but before we do that, Joe Kamadi is standing by to give us NTV Business. Joe, what do you have in store for us?
Thank you very much, Rachel. Thank you, Gabriel. Now, tonight in business, I will be telling you why the marine industry continues to attract minimal investments from the private sector. All this and more coming up after this short break. Don't go anywhere.
We have written a general circular that no member of opposition should travel without informing our office, and they should tell us the source of funding, because if Ministry of Finance funds you, they bring their budget, will you be able to question it? Because they will say that same money which you are questioning is the one which funds your trips. Will you be able to question? That will be compromised, and eventually they will blackmail, and we will have a problem.
Doesn't discriminate. Surprises do not discriminate. And at Worried, we don't discriminate either. You can be on any network and still use Worried Pesa. With Worried Pesa, you can send money instantly from any network to any network. Unconditionally. Register at any Worried Pesa outlet today, no matter what network you're on. Worried. Make it happen.
Every day, because I am healthy and strong. In the heat and the cold, Scott keeps me playing all year long. Playing, jumping, here I go. Scott's emulsion helps me grow.
Scott's emulsion has calcium and vitamins A and D to help kids grow healthy and strong.
You are so late. You're almost on.
Dude, I'm sorry I'm late, but hey, traffic.
Let's go. Let's just do this. And we're on in 10. What?
Can I get some Eno?
Eno neutralizes stomach acid fast.
And 6, 5,
Monitoring you early right. Eno gets to work in seconds. If symptoms persist, seek medical advice.
Good evening, I'm Joel Kamadi and welcome to NTV Business. Now, while the East African Secretariat in Arusha is still optimistic about the feasibility of a common regional currency, many business managers remain uncertain over its implementation this year. As we now join reports, financial experts are citing the variations in currency value among member states and the general volatility in regional economies at the moment as key challenges.
This year, 2012, is when the East African Community Monetary Union is on table for implementation, allowing for use of a common currency among partner states in pushing trade and commerce. However, experts agree that differences in currency value within each of the economic bloc remains of concern to both enterprises and policy gurus alike.
If you look across, if you cast your eyes across the financial institutions across East Africa, there are quite a few who are already trading across, or rather operating across East Africa. So part of the things they're doing in anticipation of that is just benchmarking or trying to put in similar systems and processes across the three East African countries. So we see that as an area of focus and something that they're already doing. That as they improve their operations, say in Uganda, they're doing the same.
Speaking on the sidelines of the launch of the Enterprise Risk Management Survey 2012 prepared by audit firm Deloitte, Nyang'aya says this new study, focused on financial players, also captured among others management, audit and credit risks.
This survey did not focus on how well they're doing it, but it focused on whether they're giving it sufficient emphasis. And the results show that they put a lot of focus on credit risk management, on liquidity risk management, and on market risk management. Okay, and they have that is a key point of focus. And they also indicated that they are giving more attention and more interest now to operational risk management, IT, and reputational risk.
According to the report, the survey connected with firms that had a turnover of more than $500 million, while approximately 25% were listed on one or more of stock exchange in East Africa. Reina Ojan, NTV Business.
Now, the marine industry continues to attract minimal investments from the private sector, a scenario currently blamed for the lukewarm growth of the sector. Water and Environment Minister Maria Mutagamba says that the existing facilities, boats and landing sites remain very poor, limiting the contribution of the industry to national growth.
This state of affairs of excess loading of both passengers and cargo on Uganda's water bodies may not end soon unless private sector investors venture into the marine sector. At least 130 billion shillings is the amount required to erect water transport infrastructure alone across the country's major lakes, according to the Ministry of Works and Transport. With signs that such amounts of funding is not in sight, both local and foreign investors are being invited to venture into this marine transport network.
10 people died, but there are those who die 1 or 2 that we never come to know. So we really want to ask you, it's good. Technology for good. And I'm really happy about the initiative. Let's see what we can do more. Let's team up with the government. It's good government has come up with the PPP arrangement. We are now encouraging every sector to initiate a program of PPP so that the government can team up with the private sector to make a difference in our lives, to develop an invitation.
Numerous water disasters have time and again been encountered on Uganda's water bodies, claiming lives of both fishermen as well as ordinary travelers, largely because of the risky types of boats and canoes. The ministers were speaking at the launch of a mobile weather service targeting safety of at least 1,000 fishermen in Kalangala district using Lake Victoria.
Now, my appeal as a minister responsible for emergencies is that, one, we must expand the program. Expand the program so that we don't only cover Lake Victoria, we must cover Lake Albert, we must cover Kyoga.
The project, a combined effort of the Department of Meteorology, MTN, Ericsson, and the National Lake Rescue Institute, will see the fishing community receive information on weather within the expansive water body on daily basis.
Finally, in the financial markets, the all-share index gained by 4 points to close at 1,033 shillings, while in the currency markets, the shilling has maintained a fairly stable stance against the dollar. We have more in the financial market report. And that wraps it up for NTV Business tonight. Back to you, Gabriel and Rachel.
Thank you very much, Joe Kamadi.
All right, coming up is NTV Sport. I'll be bringing you all the details right after this very short break.
Really, should adhere step down? That's none of their business. Those religious leaders, they have got a lot of work to do to preach the gospel of God. And from what is happening, I don't think they are doing the work very well.
Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni speaks out on term limits, his reply to religious leaders, and so much more.
On the spot. On the next episode,
the new Mirinda Fruity for 1,500 shillings only in a refreshing handy pack.
Face. She was dirty, full of mud. The only thing I really saw were her eyes.
To tell you the truth, I've also seen strange things. Statues sometimes seem to move. They look one way and then they look another.
The new Mirinda Fruity for 1,500 shillings only in a refreshing handy pack. Also available in Pepsi and Mountain Dew for 1,500 shillings only.
Good evening and welcome to NTV Sport. First, tonight, Uganda Revenue Authority Football Club arrived in Gulu this afternoon, but officials are wary of the injuries of their stars ahead of the Uganda Cup finals to be played on Saturday. URA's head coach Alexis Sabire conducted a light training session in the evening with players in high spirits for the fixture, whose winner will represent the country in the Confederations Cup competition.
We reached at around 1. The weather is okay, except that I have about 5 players who are injured. Sam Mobiru, Manko Kawesa, Simon Masava, and Segawa Lawrence. But we shall find out whether they will play or not tomorrow, because today we did a slight small training. So I think tomorrow we shall know whether they will play or not.
In tennis, court has nullified the current executive of the Uganda Table Tennis Association on grounds that their term in office has expired, and the members are questioning the procedures used to amend the constitution currently in use. The president, Dennis Galabuzi, however, argues the petitioners are not members of the National Association and that the National Council of Sports is aware of the difficulties in organizing elections.
These are some of the officials who are showing concern over the manner in which the current leadership is managing the sport in the country.
We want to see table tennis coming up at national level, and for us, the clubs that are up country, we need to be helped by our national executive committee.
They are blaming Dennis Galabuzi's team of failing to organize competitions and continuing in office without a constitutional mandate.
The executive will preside over duty for a time of 2 years, but the present executive are into the 3rd year with no clear reason.
They are also accusing the executive of doctoring the constitution and using international competitions for business.
At Mackay University Business School, it is only with the staff who are entitled to sign any official document on behalf of the university. But somebody signs on behalf of Mackay University Business School, and he is not sent by Mackay University Business School. No documentation shows he was sent by us. We do not know him, which means this constitution is not correct.
Now court has ordered the office bearers to stay their activities. An action Uganda table tennis president Dennis Galabuzi has downplayed as a waste of time.
These are lost people. These are totally lost people. I don't know why they can't wait for an AGM to have an election so that we can see how their police hold water. Oh, it's our police that hold water. But otherwise, that press conference, that's rubbish. It's total rubbish. And we are going to counter it with all the venom that there can be.
The injunction is to run for 1 month, a period within which the leaders are to present their arguments before court pronounces itself on the situation. Alfred Odong, NTV Sport.
The Uganda Boxing Union officials are under fire over failure to account for the money and equipment extended by Powerhouse in an effort to have professionals elevate standards of their activities. The union has received 4 belts to be contested for in different categories in the paid ranks under the International Boxing Federation. Officials will first organize competitions at the national level before the continental and world title challenges.
With Mr. Godfrey Mokasa handing over these belts to UBU. We are indeed very grateful for the belts.
So the talent, we need to nurture that talent when these people are still young. So basically the academy will be there to set structures, to refine those structures so they can be guided into entering that discipline.
We have a task from our suppliers who are Powerhouse International in Austria that we should account for each and everything that they are giving us. So I was cautioning UBU, Uganda Boxing Union, to make sure that whatever we give them, they should be accountable so that we don't lose this chance of these sponsors who have come in a big way to sponsor boxing.
That's it for NTV Sport tonight. Thanks for watching. Let's now take a look at Friday's weather forecast.
Let's now take you back to tonight's NTV poll question. We asked you, was Kitgum Woman MP Beatrice on your right to hold private meetings with President Yoweri Museveni without the knowledge of the leader of the opposition?
All right, the final poll result is out. We'll be giving you that shortly. Let's now quickly give you some of your comments before we head out.
Exactly. Davis Nathan Mudebo, you say, if she was doing so for the good of her people, yes. Being in the opposition doesn't necessarily mean opposing everything the ruling party does, or at least working with them for the betterment of our country.
All right, Olanya from Masaka saying, no, she was very wrong and it's the worst thing she has done since joining Parliament.
Finally, Paul Okello, you say Museveni has used this tactic effectively several times to woo vocal politicians, and now that Anywa has proved susceptible, I can bet you'll see her attitude change soon.
All right, thank you so much for all your responses to tonight's NTV poll. Be sure to have your say tomorrow as well.
Exactly. Thank you so much for participating in tonight's poll result and for all your fantastic responses. I'll see you later at 11:30 for a final roundup of the day's news with NTV 11. I'm Gabriel Epeno.
I'm Rachel Arinitwe. Have a good night.
NTV, turning on your world. Coming up.
I'll get it.
There is nothing impossible if you have a hero inside. New Omo Multi-Active. Its max clean particles remove tough, dried-in stains in one swift step.
You might.
War has started. And we are hopelessly outgunned.
Director Fury, I think it's time.
You here with the mission, sir? Trying to get me back in the world?
Trying to save it.
Doctor, I need you to come in.
What if I say no?
I'll persuade you.
What are you asking me to do? It's called the Avengers Initiative.
I thought I didn't qualify. Apparently I'm, what is it, volatile, self-obsessed, and don't play well with others.
I think they need a timeout.
Desperate are you? And you call on such lost creatures to defend you?
You have made me very desperate.
We're not a team. We're a time bomb.
This is nothing we were ever trained for.
Guys, I'm bringing the party to you.
Welcome to the Kwati movement. For those who plan dates on WhatsApp and parties on Facebook, Kwati with the Nokia Asha 200. Now speak to the world. Nokia. Welcome to the Kwati movement. For those who plan dates on WhatsApp and parties on Facebook, Kwati with the Nokia Asha 200. Now speak to the world. Nokia.
Tomorrow night. Brought to you by
I love you, Africa. I love you, yeah.
Really asking me that? Well, go look for the lost soul, of course. If Miss Lorenzo was capable of confronting her, then why not us, huh? Oh, come on, let's do it, man. We'll see how true the story really is. And we'll be free of doubts once and for all. Let's go to the cemetery.
Papa yatuka yabanga tiru yabita mu mwana yagonda oroposi yagonda yena yatwala munumba fumbe era yatuka yafumba bintu yasika yena yawuta.
Tomorrow night on NTV.
I love you, Africa. I love you, Africa. I love you, Africa. I love you, yeah. I love you, Africa. I love you, Africa. I love you, Africa. I love you, yeah.
This is NTV.
Today on The Entrepreneur, we speak to Amos Wekesa, the proprietor and managing director of Great Lake Safaris, a tour and travel company, and Jamila Natukunda, a restaurateur and furniture dealer. These are their stories. At 38 years of age, Amos Wekesa, to those who know him, is synonymous with the local tourism and hospitality sector.
I was born in a village called Wakaka, left Wakaka in 1983 because, they were looking for a family to, less advanced kids to be looked after. So I was taken on by Salvation Army in 1983 in Tororo. I was looked after by those guys for 14 years. I went to primary school in Tororo, secondary school in Tororo.
But how exactly did Wekesa get involved in this tourism sector, where millions are today still struggling to conceptualize how it operates, more so in regard to business?
My first job, I became an office messenger with Belex at Sheraton, where I was earning $10 a month. My second job was again still an office messenger with Nile Safaris. I was earning about $20 a month. And then I became a trainee tour guide where I was earning $1 a day. So if I worked for 10 days, I had $20, and you can imagine the challenges that were there at the time. Then my last job was with Afrique Voyage, where I earned $150,000 shillings a month. So saved up $200 and registered a briefcase company called Great Lake Safaris.
With a $200 savings, Wekesa's strong demeanor appears to have pushed him further into being a business owner, but eyes fully set on reaping from tourism as an enterprise.
My capital was $200. Of course, with $200, you couldn't afford to have an office. It's until after 9 months of working in a briefcase that we opened up our first office on Rainbow Arcade, just below the staircases, on crossing from Nkrumah to Kampala Road. And then from there, we, of course, shifted to a home office in the garage. And then from the garage, we moved to Susie House. And we took up a smaller office. Right now we have one of the largest offices on Susie House. Until probably in the next 2 weeks, we'll be going in our own big offices for Great Lakes headquarters.
Can we walk in the garden or something?
With Great Lake Safaris Limited up and running, this young father of three's knack for active participation as a tourism entrepreneur within the chain of value addition. Beyond the traditional business of bookings that many tour and travel companies undertake, Wekesa moved to identify and bid for constructing accommodations for tourists, popularly known as lodges.
And we build lodges in national parks under the Uganda Lodges umbrella. We've got 3 lodges in 3 national parks, and I must say that Great Lakes was the first Ugandan-owned company to build a lodge in the national parks of Uganda. And this has also, of course, encouraged other people to start building either near the national parks or within the national parks. For us, we feel like we pioneered that.
Upon successfully setting up such high-end lodges, with visitors residing at Primate Lodge within the dense Chibale National Park, paying nearly $400 per night, such investments have since turned out to be a turning point to this young entrepreneur.
Yes, we did bid for a lodge to be built in Chibale National Park. This is believed to be the world capital of primates. 795 square kilometers with 13 different species of primates and over 1,400 individual chimpanzees. This is something you cannot find anywhere in the world in terms of density of concentration. And so they did advertise, and we applied to build a lodge in 2006. Of course, it was extremely difficult, even for the people that were running Uganda Wildlife Authority at the time, to give us the opportunity, because they didn't believe that Ugandans can be able to invest in the national parks. And we competed with a lot of international, multinational businesses, and we came out the top, but it took us 12 months to be able to get it.
Wekesa's business acumen further saw him look for opportunities to bridge Uganda's existing accommodation deficit within tourist destinations, landing yet another great chance close to the much-visited Queen Elizabeth National Park.
It has probably the highest concentration of birds of any protected area in the world. It probably has the highest concentration of primates on the of hippos on the African continent. Of course, it has the tree climbing lions that makes this very unique. There are only 2 places in the world where you can see the tree climbing lions. One is Lake Manyara, and the other is Shasha of Queen Elizabeth National Park. Now, for us, these were factors that really made us decide on building an accommodation in Queen Elizabeth National Park.
Over the 10 years of operation at different fronts within the tourism trade, Wekesa also built with him goodwill from various industry players. He managed to secure a concession to operate the Budongo Eco Lodge located near Murchison Falls National Park.
We have also gone ahead and taken over Budongo, and partnership between JGI, Jane Goodall Institute, and Great Lakes and National Forest Authority. So we did bid, we wrote a proposal to National Forest Authority. They had made $20,000, for example, in 3 years of running the place, and when we came in, we created a business. Right now, of course, National Forest Authority is able to get more than $100,000 a year from a place that would get only $20,000 in 3 years.
Alongside these multi-million investments, Wekesa has also managed to directly and indirectly create employment for over 300 young, middle-aged and old people, coming with it ripple positive impact in the tourism sector and beyond.
Great Lakes employs quite a lot of people, directly and indirectly.
And today, flashing back a decade of hard work strengthened with a purse of just $200, Wekesa has grown his enterprise trading under Great Lakes Safaris Limited, posting an annual turnover of $6 million.
But by God's grace, I've been able to understand the difference between liabilities and assets. I've been investing quite a lot in assets. The other one is also understanding that actually you can have money and have no money tomorrow, and therefore investing in things that can bring value has been the other thing. We're an extremely very beautiful country. We're in a country that has so many opportunities, but I think our education system, since it teaches us mainly about other parts of the world, teaches about the prairies, the rainlands, Bismarck, but teach us very little about Uganda, and therefore we don't end up loving the country. And if you don't love the country, all you can do is complain about the country, complain about the leaders.
NTV, turning on your world.
Airtel Money helps your money do more.
Complete your dream projects, focus on your career, and give your family the life they deserve. With Leseho's easy financing solutions, you can now pay school fees on time or buy a house in the easiest way. No security, no deposit, no account required. With Leseho financing, life just got easier. Leseho, financing today.
For fairness all over, use Skin White.
Shiba Media presents Channel Africa's most gifted artist, Radio 1 Wizzo, live in Kampala, the Tonjagala album launch, starting Friday 11th May at Hotel Africana. The VIP will go for 50,000 and general for 10,000. And on Saturday 12th May, it will be live in Ginger at Crescent Crane for only 10,000. And we'll wrap it up. The Tonjagala Goodnight Boys will be at Kicker Beach Cover on Sunday for only 5,000. Don't miss special acts from Irene Namubiru, His Excellency Bobby Wine, Juliana, Obsessions, Channel Zamba, and Caesar Zion, Caesar Man, and Diamond Oscar. All this sponsored by Club Pilsner, not for sale to persons under the age of 18.
Historically, the furniture business has been known to be a domain for men. Not anymore. Today, several women have made bold steps and ventured into this line of trade, and among this is Jamila Natukunda. The move to venture into business was, however, not a smooth road for her.
I came to Kampala, I started life, I was married. I got married with a tough Muslim guy and who was not believing a woman to work. So we stayed, but at the end of the day, it can't go on. We can't go on.
But this did not deter that childhood spirit in her to do business.
So when I was young, I started, I think, in primary school. In break time, I used to sell this pancake. Because I feel I don't want to ask my mother or my dad, please, can I have this? Can I have this? So from day one, I was feeling that I can do something from my own.
With her eyes fixed on fighting dependency right from childhood, Jamila found her inspiration to join the world of business. This journey first took her in the line of food, where she says, if done well, one will always be assured of the market.
One time, I was in Dubai. It was my second time. I see how people suffer to get food. You know, these Indian people, they used I think you know that they cook a lot of chili. So someone with ulcers, they can't manage. And one time I was sleeping, we came from the market, I was with one of my friends, and I said, next time when I come, I'll come with matoke.
Convinced and indeed with a conviction to succeed, Jamila relied heavily on creativity and innovation to establish herself in Dubai that early, undeterred by the mega resources she had at the time.
By that time, maybe I was having like 150 kg. Matoke, ugali, this maganjo stuff. I was having, what else? Beans, granuts. It was like 150, we are about 4. And I said no. I started cooking from the hotel where I was sleeping. I have that restaurant now, it's going to be 21 years. And it is still learning. Who knows Pacific African Restaurant? I think they know me.
Driven by the success of her first business, she chose to try it out into other business lines, for which the furniture and interior decor business came in handy. This, she says, was because of the passion she had for this line of trade.
Really, I love interior designing. I love it so much. Even my friends, when they want to buy something, before I started furniture, they used to tell me, please, Jamila, I know you can make combination of some colors and it comes good.
Passion, according to Jamila, is a key to success in trade and indeed the market, starting with friends and relatives who will always appreciate and notice that passion. The trick, according to her, is turn that into a trade or business.
When my friends come to my house, they want to know where I bought this, where I bought this, where I bought this. When my friends, they want to design their own home, they have to tell me, I have to escort them, curtains, combination of chairs to arrange, something like that. So, and that's my heart, I told you before, my heart was telling me, but like these people, they're asking a lot. Why can't you open at least something? So they don't have to travel to go to Italy, to America, or to Dubai, or to China. Why don't you make your own Italian in Uganda?
Making it this far, however, has not come easy for Jamila because she is a believer in the notion that for every positive force, there commensurate a negative one.
It wasn't easy, especially if you are outside. There is a lot of con people in, I don't know how you call it, how you call them? Con men. There's a lot of con men, but these days even women, they con.
For those interested in following her example, she has some pointers for you.
If you have to have a shop like this, one thing is location and to train your staffs. But important, all the bad experience in these things. You know, these people who carry things from off-roading people, who carry things from truck to store. This wood, some woods are very heavy. They can't manage even if maybe there are 2 or 3. So, and inside there is glasses. So sometimes if they put it down, you can hear it, and you feel your heart is just cutting it. Like you have learning stomach. I said, oh my God, this thing is for 5 million. Oh my God, this is thing for 4 million. Our people, they don't know how to handle this kind of thing.
NTV, turning on your world. Coming up.
I'll get it.
There is nothing impossible if you have a hero inside. New Omo Multi-Active. Its max clean particles remove tough, dried-in stains in one swift step.
You my hero.
Omo, dirt is good.
Surprises do not discriminate. Affection doesn't discriminate. And at Worried, we don't discriminate either. You can be on any network and still use Worried Pesa. With Worried Pesa, you can send money instantly from any network to any network. Unconditionally. Register at any Worried Pesa outlet today, no matter what network you're on. Worried. Make it happen.
Some of the most magnificent structures in Uganda have been built using Hima cement. When Uganda needed the strongest cement, we delivered. When Uganda needed the most durable cement, we delivered. When Uganda needed a variety of products for specific projects, we delivered.
And when Uganda needed cement that always gives the same result in each and every bag of cement, naturally, we delivered. This is what Hima Cement does best, and why most construction projects in Uganda use only Hima Cement. After all, structures don't lie. So if you're thinking about building, think Hima Cement.
Parts of you from the start.
I'm Peter, Royco's head chef. Ever wondered why Royco Mchuzi mix makes the most delicious stew? I sourced 16 natural ingredients from across the country, blended them together to create the best quality Mchuzi mix. And now, for the ultimate taste test.
Amazing! The search for the perfect Mchuzi mix is over.
Royco Mchuzi mix with 16 natural ingredients for the tastiest stew.
This is NTV.
Hello and welcome On The Spot. My name is Patrick Kamara. We are coming to you from Rwakitura, the president's country home. Tonight, the president himself is our guest on the show. And of course, we've got so many things to talk about, including the economy, the security situation, and the term limits that everybody has been talking about. But why waste the time and not talk to the president himself? Mr. President, welcome to the show.
How are you?
About 2005, there was the agitation to limit the term limits because they thought here was a good man. Why have these limits that can deny Ugandans to have a good leader continue? The same people again are back. But now they are saying there should be term limits. Could this be an indication that perhaps they are losing the confidence they had then in you, sir?
It is not the same people.
The same NRM group, we've seen some young people, the young thugs in the NRM, sir.
Those young thugs are normally part of the indisciplined group who were opposing NRM programs even in the past. So it's not the same group. It is actually it is the same group who used to oppose even in the past. So there's no change as far as the NRM mainstream is concerned. But anyway, there's no problem. It can be discussed. After all, there's no problem about reopening anything. However, it should be done through the proper procedure. Like when they can put forward their proposal for the agenda. For NEC, we are going to meet after 6 months. We had a meeting last time, we had come to discuss other issues. So if those ones feel that we should discuss it again, they can reopen it and we'll discuss it in NEC 6 months from now.
Theodore Sekikubo, Muhammad Nsereko, these are not all the people. These are the same people. These are the same people, Mr. President.
No, the Sekikubo even in the past was erratic. It was erratic. At that time, in fact, Sekikubo voted for lifting the term limit because otherwise he would never have come back to Parliament. But he was not part of the main force that moved that move.
Let me put it this way. What is your personal view on the term limits?
My view is that it is a lot of nonsense because as long as there are elections, the people should elect. And there are some good examples. If you take a country like Israel, for instance, indeed all the European countries, they don't have term limits. Except, I don't know which ones have term limits. It's only the United States. But all the others, Britain, I think even France, certainly I know Israel, as long as the people are electing, that would be the limit. If the people don't want you, that's the end of the story. So it's a diversion. It's not a serious issue, in my opinion.
So how about if the term limits are lifted, then why should the country have the age limit? What is your view on that? Should the age limit also be there anyway?
Well, that one, I think that one we had ignored. We had not discussed it. It can be discussed, but since we had not, but I think after 75, the vigor, I think there's some scientific idea there that maybe the vigor is not as much after 75 years. So that one I wouldn't quarrel with some. I know there are some leaders who have been leading even beyond 75. But I think if you want very active leaders, it's good to have the ones below 75.
So are you saying you wouldn't go beyond 75 yourself, sir?
Not at all. Certainly not. I wouldn't, because that's in the Constitution now. And I would not say lift that. I would not involve myself in wanting to change that, because I think there is some scientific logic behind it.
We have seen religious leaders who have come, telling you and telling Ugandans that the president has done a good job. Really, should at the end of 2006 step down. That's
none of their business. Those religious leaders, they have got a lot of work to do to preach the gospel of God. And from what is happening, I don't think they are doing the work very well, because we have got all these young people who are taking drugs, engaged in prostitution, even the corruption they talk about. It starts from the homes, it starts from the families. So the religious leaders could spend a bit more time preaching the gospel. When we came from the bush, Uganda was about to disappear because of AIDS. The prevalence rate was 35% in some cases. It was we, the non-religious people, who had to preach what should have been preached by those religious people. I don't stop them having views. They can have views, but I think the arrogance of going on the pulpit and giving me a lecture about something I know better than they do is something they should check themselves on. I used to work with some of the religious leaders, like the late Cardinal Subga. He would have his views, come quietly, and we talk about it. But when you go in public to give me a lecture, one day I will also give you a counter lecture. So it's not a good method.
Having listened to you as a young man then in primary, come and you say correctly that the problem of Africa is leaders staying in power for so long. And 25 years down the road, Mr. President, you're still on. Do you sometimes regret having made that statement and yet you're still on?
Not at all. What I said, staying in power without mandate of the people. Because remember, the people of Uganda have not expired. Have you heard that there is a population called Ugandans? They are there. They are the owners of this country. They have the power, according to our constitution, every 5 years to change whoever they want to change. So why do you want to usurp their role? Why do you want to usurp their role? So what I was saying that time was leaders who stay in power without mandate of the people. That's what I was saying.
We have a Speaker of Parliament, Rebecca Kadaga, who just a few days ago said she is under immense pressure from the NRM leaders to deny the opposition active debate in the Parliament. What's your comment on that?
Well, I don't know what my young...
To freely debate.
Certainly I'm not the one putting pressure on her. And I will find out from her who are these who are putting pressure on her to violate the Constitution and stop people expressing their views in Parliament. I will find out from her. First of all, I don't know whether what she said is true, because your newspaper, The Monitor, is famous for telling lies. But if that's what she said, then I would ask her who are these who are putting pressure on her not to observe the Constitution, because the Constitution says give everybody a chance in the Parliament on a balanced way.
Are we at a time, Mr. President, when you are looking at less party cohesion in the NRM? I'm looking at the young men, those born before the days of Ronasa. They seem not to be towing the line, sir.
That's very simple. The NRM is like a railway station. There are normally arrivals and departures, but the railway station never closes. So those who are tired can leave, and those who want to continue. There's nothing new at all.
The problem is that it looks like they're about to derail the railway itself.
Nobody would derail this railway. They would derail themselves, not the railway. Yeah.
Let's look at the order and public management bill.
How old are you?
I am 38.
Oh, but even the ones of 38 know how many issues we have dealt with in the past.
Yes, I know.
In the recent times, we had controversy.
I've seen the popularity of the president come down after every 5 years. Isn't that a concern for you? Because I'm looking at the numbers, the percentages you get in every election. So I'm thinking, why is that? Because if you have delivered this, you have delivered the other, then it should be going upwards, not downwards, Mr. President.
But I thought we got 70% last time, 68%.
Yes, but that was not 96. It is a different story. 2001 is a different story. 2006,
no,
a different story.
96, it was 75%.
Yes, it was.
It came down to 69% in 2001. It was 59% in 2006, and it shot back to 68%. And there are reasons why. For instance, we had not solved the problem of security in the north, so those people there had become disgruntled. There was the problem of cattle raiding in Teso. That also affected our vote in 2006. Now when we solved the two, then it went up. Again, the popularity.
There's this, the order and public management bill. We have seen people complain that it is one thing to arrest a suspect, but the way how they are arrested causes some concern. You know, there's a lot of assault. There's a lot. It is an indecent kind of assault. If you take example, there are so many examples, and then we don't see the arresting officers, anything being taken against them.
Well, first of all, discipline should start with the political leaders. If I am putting myself out as somebody who wants to be president of Uganda or member of parliament, I should be the example of civility. If the policeman says, please stop, I want to talk to you, I should stop. I should not be the one to assault the police or obstruct him. After all, if he arrests me wrongly, he's taking me to a court of law, I will be released. And if he has made a mistake, the court will punish him if he has arrested me wrongfully. So your papers and your TV concentrate on the mistakes of these young policemen and women, and they forget about the leaders. These are not leaders, these are just young operatives. How about the leaders, like me? Why should I conduct myself as if I am a Muyai, a rogue, or somebody who has taken a bangi? So that's number one. That's where you should start from. The leaders should be examples of discipline.
Mr. President, we in the media have not been balanced in our reporting. Is that what you're saying?
Not at all. Yes, not at all. You are always defending lawbreakers and these young people when they are struggling to, because the young people have done a very good job.
I suppose you could have seen the pictures of the arrest of Dr. Besji and maybe the other day of Ingrid Turinawe. Mr. President, the way how was bundled on a pickup, really, with all those cameras.
I will come to that.
You will come to that. Okay.
I will come to that.
Yeah, but how could somebody have reported it otherwise?
But why does a leader resist arrest? Why? Why do you resist arrest and fight with the police? That's number one. But number two, it is true that some of these young people make mistakes. For instance, this young girl who was putting the dress of this other Turinawa woman.
It is still being contested whether that was a lady or a man pulling Ingrid Turinawa.
It was a girl. I will not tell you the name because we don't want. They are doing their work, but it was a girl. Even from the picture, you can see that they were short people. Short. They were even having difficulty going over the pickup to get to reach this Turinawa woman. So yes, that young girl, instead of holding the dress, she should have got hold of the arm, because when you arrest the arm, not any other part. But so that was a mistake, and we have already reprimanded her, educated her how to do things properly. But I hope you also saw a picture of an American policeman who was lifting a woman. You didn't put it in your paper, of course.
I've seen it.
But it was in Sunday this other paper. Yes. So that one I would do. I don't know what you say about that. Although, of course,
two mistakes, Mr. President, don't make it right.
Not at all. Not at all. So these young people, we educated them, because this is a mistake. It's not lethal. Somebody has not died, but she has done a job in not the best way. And the answer is to educate them and reprimand them.
In our line
but also discipline the leaders who are the origin of the whole problem. Because I don't see how you can say we maintain lawlessness and we concentrate on managing lawlessness correctly. Why should we have lawlessness in the first place?
There shouldn't be. Mr. President, in our line of duty, we have interacted with these men in uniform. And sometimes the people have called those young people who make mistakes. When we ask them, why are you doing something like this? And they say, you know what, these are orders from above. Really, in Uganda, there's nobody else above other than you.
Well, certainly I have not ordered anybody to hold the dress of Turinawa. The arresting should be the arm. And you put a handcuff on the arm. That's what it should be.
We look at the oil sector, Mr. President, also briefly. Many are complaining that there's a lot of secrecy, that if somebody is to access, for example, the production sharing agreement, if he's an MP, there should be a policeman standing next to him. He shouldn't take more than 30 minutes, shouldn't even take notice. Why?
What is the secrecy about? What is the secrecy for?
We are not as open, for example, as Ghana.
I have no problem publishing those. I'll put them on Kampala Street so that all of you can read, those who can read English. You have now given me an idea. I will go and put them at the bus park, those agreements, so that anybody can read. What is secret about it? There is no secrecy. It is clear what we negotiated. Maybe during the stage of a negotiation, because these business groups, even the government wants to get as much from these people as possible, maybe at that stage. But eventually, when the agreement is signed, I don't see any secrecy, the importance of secrecy. There
was a lot of criticism on your government for taking out $750 million to buy fighter jets out of that oil money. And I thought that was an error of judgment on your side.
That was not from the oil money. That was from our money, the money from
the whole process of buying fighter jets. They thought that was an error of judgment.
Oh, we need security. You need security. That's why you are here telling all lies you want to tell. Security. Then you go and sleep in your bed at night. The following morning you wake up. We need to protect our country. And we had to buy that equipment. It was brand new equipment. It is very good. It will last many years. It was a very good investment.
On the energy crisis, 90% of Ugandans are using biofuel, charcoal and wood for cooking. And that is dwindling the forest cover for Uganda. Even if you produced 2,000 megawatts tomorrow, still more than 80% will be relying on wood for fuel. Is that visible?
That is the problem of the opposition which you support. They are the ones who delayed the Bujagari Dam.
Mr. President, I support the right things. I don't support the opposition.
Yes, but why don't you denounce them? You have been carrying out a campaign against, even today, I saw an opinion by your paper, not by somebody, by one of your papers, the Monitor paper.
Mr. President, NTV has an independent editorial policy, and I'm here representing NTV.
You all belong to Aga Khan, so you are all part of the Aga Khan. I don't know whether it is Aga Khan who wants to destabilize Uganda. I don't know whether it is you people. But today there was a front page opinion condemning the Public Law and Order Management Act. What do they want us? That Uganda should have no law? But anyway, the same energy you spend on attacking government programs, you could divert just 20% of it to attack the MPs who delayed Bujagari, who sabotaged it. Why don't you talk about that? That's what has caused the problem.
I agree with you entirely on the issue of electricity and having brought it, how Bujagari could have come earlier. But I'm wondering how, even if we got 2,000 megawatts of power today, how somebody can move away from using biofuel so that our forests are not depleted. Because that is going to be serving very few people, Mr. President.
It's not just a question of the availability of electricity. There's also the question of the purchasing power. Because the electricity may be there, but if people cannot buy it, then it will not be useful. So there's a way we project the growth of demand, meaning the demand plus ability to pay. And we think now, after July, we are going to overcome this problem. Bujagari will produce 250 megawatts. That will give us a surplus of about 100 megawatts at peak hours. And then, because I think the deficit has been 130 megawatts at peak hours. Now with 250, we shall have a surplus of about 100 megawatts for 2 years. But in that 2 years, we are going to start using our diesel, our crude oil to generate electricity. We are going to start building Karuma. We have got a lot of, we've got 50 sites of mean hydros. We are not going to have a power shortage again.
The worry is that if the person watching us tonight and listening to you tonight could have had breakfast and lunch or supper cooked using wood or charcoal, and that is a danger to the environment.
Yeah,
Bujagari and the oil may not at all solve that problem.
Yes, but that man of charcoal, even if the electricity was available, does he have the money now to pay for it? Because electricity will not be free, because the two must go hand in hand. Yes, ultimately a country like Uganda needs about 50,000 megawatts, but we cannot get to it overnight. And as long as we are catering initially for the ones who have got ability to pay, then at least that reduces on the use of charcoal, but also increases the economic base of the whole country. Because if we have got electricity, then more factories, more employment, more income, more taxes. It is all a virtuous circle. And the trigger is electricity.
We want to end with the two points, one from Southern Sudan and another on East African Federation. If I may begin with South Sudan, your Chief of Defense Force a couple of days ago was quoted by the BBC, by the Sudan Tribune, and all the media in Uganda as saying that Uganda is not going to stand by and watch and let it happen. In fact, that the Ugandan army will get in. You are the commander-in-chief. Is that an executive order from you?
He was misquoted. What he was saying was that the region would come in to mediate. That's what he was saying. He was not talking about taking sides in the war. It was talking about mediation, as we did before, because we had mediated even for this agreement of CPA. It was the region which mediated.
But it
for Burundi, it is the region which mediated. It's not the first time.
But you're talking to Sudan on a third-party basis. You're not talking to Sudan directly, are you, Mr. President?
Sudan government?
Yeah, you're talking to them through IGAD.
No. We have our embassy in Khartoum. They have an embassy here. There's no problem. We talk with them. We may not agree with them, but certainly we talk with them.
President Bashir is an indicted man by the ICC. And are you still now, considering the facts on the ground, standing on the position of AU as far as the Bashir issue is concerned?
That
the AU stand on ICC's indictment of Bashir.
What does it say?
That he should not be tried there. The African problem should be solved by the Africans.
Yeah, but for us, we had supported the ICC. That's why we referred Kony there. But opinion is now beginning to swing against the ICC because they are only prosecuting Africans. They don't prosecute other mistake makers. But as of now, we have not taken a stand. We shall have to discuss it with other people and see whether we should continue in ICC or we pull out, or because it is beginning to appear as if there is this bias covering up some mistakes who make mistakes in Europe, and just going for these Africans, including small ones like these ones in Congo. There's a fellow called Rubanga. This is a very small player.
Tomal Banga and Bosco Ntaganda.
Yes. These are small players, and yet there are people who have made very big mistakes, and nothing is done about them.
At the beginning of 2001, 2002, Tomal Banga was in a way an ally of Uganda. Before he turned his guns on the UPDF. I was in Bunia during that fight when General Kaihura was flashing Tomal Banga from Bunia.
We are the ones who kicked Rubanga out of Bunia. But, and of course, they made a lot of mistakes because of ideological limitations. Because some of these fellows don't concentrate on ideological training, they actually fight it. When we are training our people ideologically, they say we are indoctrinating them. That's why they used to oppose our Chankwan's programs. And therefore you get people coming into leadership without any ideological bearing, and they end up making all these mistakes. Now, instead of correcting the misadvice, which the Western countries in particular give Africans, then they go for these crude, biased ways of just using ICC in a biased way, instead of dealing with the basics. Because you see, for instance, even if you have to fight a war, you must correctly define the enemy. Who is the enemy? Are all members of the tribe enemy? Because a leader is coming from that tribe? Now, if you don't solve that, you're bound to make mistakes. And instead of helping these people to see those mistakes, they now go for this matter.
The East African Legislative Assembly has passed a resolution asking the ICC to allow them try the Kenyan indictees by the East African Court of Justice. What is your opinion on that?
We discussed it, and we said the Attorney General should advise us whether we can convert the East African Court to play a role in criminal matters, in the war crimes. And they are going to give us the advice.
And still, from our neighbors in Kenya, we have seen all these aspirants for the presidency in Kenya. In fact, I've seen Honorable Raila, Musyoka, Mr. Mudavadi, Mr. Ruto, all of them coming to you. What are they telling you? And do you have an interest in the Kenyan politics? Why are they here most of the time?
No, these are old friends, because NRM is an old party, and we know many of these people from long ago. We don't interfere in the politics of Kenya, but they just pay courtesy call, and that's all. We have Nothing in particular.
There's no any string that President Museveni could be pulling, no interest in the Kenyan politics?
No interest. No, we have got interest in stability, but also the Kenyan people have got interest in stability. And it is for them to decide who should lead them, not us.
The East African community, we're taking baby steps, and we seem to be moving on. The market is on, but the ultimate goal is the political federation. It looks like Tanzania were having cold feet towards that. They have so many concerns. And some people say that you have pushed it more than any other leader in the region, this East African Federation thing.
I have no shame in pushing for the political federation. It's very good.
With all respect that you want to be the president of East Africa.
Please, these are the old shallow points. Mwalimu Nyerere was pushing for the Federation of East Africa in 1961, 62, 63. He's now dead. Suppose the Federation had come into being, would he still be there to lead the Federation? Mwalimu Nyerere started the union of Zanzibar and Tanganyika to make Tanzania. Where is he now? The money is gone. Who are enjoying the union? It is these Tanzanians who are there today. Karume died long ago, very many years ago, 1972 actually. He only had a few years to. So what we are doing is not for individuals, it is for the people, it is for you fellows. So that you can get bigger space in which to look for a living. Why don't you want a bigger space for making a living? Me, I am a cattle keeper here.
I'm also a cattle keeper in Chenjeju.
Very good. So if the people in Kampala buy my milk, I'm very happy. But if the people in Kampala are not enough, and we can sell to Kenya, even better. Why are the Ugandans going to Juba? What are they looking for? Business. Yes. So East Africa is about business. East African Federation is about business.
Is it?
It's about the future of our children.
Do you see it being realized, the federation, within the given framework?
Oh yes, we are moving very well.
2013, which is next year.
We are moving very well. I cannot prescribe for everybody, but I think we are moving very well. And we are when we last met in Bujumbura, it was agreed that the summit in November would discuss a report, which would be presented, I think, by a committee created by the Secretary General or something like that. So there are some benchmarks which we are following.
And lastly, Mr. President, what do you want to be you to be remembered for? Kind of legacy?
Oh, giving you a vote because you didn't have a vote. You remember you didn't have a vote?
I was too young to vote then.
No, even those who were old did not vote. We voted in 1962. And we never voted again until 1980, 18 years. And even in 1980, the elections were very badly organized. I want to be remembered for making you sleep soundly in your bed without being killed by soldiers. I want to be remembered for the East African integration, to give you more space for earning a living, sending all Ugandan children to school, developing the human resource, and also transforming Uganda economically to become a middle-income country, which we are working for, and fighting sectarianism in Uganda, fighting business of religion, Catholics, Protestants, Muslims, tribes.
Mr. President,
it is the ideology of the NRM that I want people to remember us by.
Mr. President, thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you.
And that brings us to the end of tonight's show. Thank you for all my viewers. Thank you, my production crew. Join us again next week when we bring you yet another edition of On the Spot. I'm your host, Patrick Amara. Good night. God bless.